emergency workers were moving cautiously toward the building.
Keep your eye on that building, it'll be coming down.
Closer to the building, it was almost like nighttime. What was left of the building was a fiery hulk. The firefighters thought it might collapse. Pieces of the building kept falling.
The building is about to blow up. Moving back.
Rescue workers pushed people away from the scene.
We are walking back. The building is about to blow up. Open flame, debris coming down.
So everyone moved back, leaving debris and silence.
Go again.
Another one. Hours after the attack, many smaller explosions rumbled through downtown. Firemen, paramedics, and police officers walked out of the carnage in shock and disbelief.
What's the job in there?
Whatever it is, to save somebody, one person saved is the life saved.
Through the day, an inferno raged in World Trade Center Building Number 7, another massive office tower. Firefighters feared that it would collapse, and a little more than 8 hours after the attack, the abandoned building fell. 47 stories in the street.
Understanding that building had been evacuated when the collapse occurred.
This was known as Building 7 of the World Trade Center, and that is fresh video you're looking at of that coming down.
You know,
But what about the speed and neat symmetry of the collapse?
The penthouse dropped, and then the entire perimeter of the main building.
Port Authority, that's the regional government institution that runs the World Trade Centers, or ran them, runs the airports, the bridges. It reported that 3 or 4 of its security officials had been pulled out of the rubble. Presumably they're on the fringes. They heard voices. They were able to recover those men who were wounded or injured, but they're said to be, they're going to be all right. We heard earlier indicated they had no scent. They couldn't get any scent. They were disoriented. Why? Because of all the dust in the air. The dust was interfering with the dogs, even with their sensitive sense of smell, to do their job. Perhaps today it'll get slightly better, we don't know, but that's another obstacle that stands in the way of the rescue effort.
All right, Garrett Utley, thank you for being our guide through this madness that is now Manhattan. We'll be checking in with you periodically. Carol?
The toughest hour still ahead, Vince.
Day, bridges and tunnels going into Manhattan were down, but by late in the afternoon, around 4, 5, 6, Amtrak started running, at least around 5 o'clock, started running trains out of Washington, so there was some opportunity to get out. A lot of commuters who needed to get away. Obviously, there were ferries taking people from downtown Manhattan over to New Jersey. Again, it was sort of a very orderly thing. People were moving from the downtown area, getting away from the scenes of destruction. The images that none of us will really ever forget. I was actually about 15 blocks from the World Trade Center complex when the first plane hit one of the towers and then went out on the streets. I think the images that really come to mind are people sort of leaving the downtown area.
All of our crews have been able to participate and treat patients and move patients, and fortunately have not been injured or been critically injured themselves. We have in the emergency department right now about all through the night a triple staff of nurses, physicians, physician assistants, and technical staff. The administrative senior management has been up, almost all of them, throughout the night, and we've been prepared and are awaiting victims from the site as well. We are, as I think Mayor Giuliani has said over and over, we are very hopeful, we are prepared, and we are expecting to work very hard to resuscitate victims as they're...
Show you again, this is morning now in Manhattan, ground zero, former site of where the World Trade Center once stood, and again, the fire's burning, and rescue workers, firefighters, police, emergency people on hand, and sifting through that horrible carnage. Carol?
And reports this morning, Vince, that rescuers are hearing the voices of people who were trapped underneath the rubble. They have a sense that there are people alive, and reports on New York radio, people inside the rubble trapped and talking to rescuers, talking to family members on their cell phones as they wait and wonder if rescue will come in time. Fires are still burning in that rubble as we speak. You know, you talk about what the situation is on the ground, and you get a sense of people suffering and the tragedy and the panic yesterday. CNN's Deborah Fayrick takes a look at the victims and in particular the firefighters lost. 800 people standing in line yesterday offering to donate blood, and they're saying that they have information there at St. Vincent's for people to go to the New York Blood Center or to go to the Red Cross. They do need more blood donations. They do not need any more clothing donations, but I think it's just a sense of New Yorkers wanting to try to help and contribute during this time of crisis.
And that was duly noted.
Duly noted.
At the press conference. Let's go back now. David Haffenreffer is with us from New York, and is going to bring us up to speed on the effect for the financial world. David.
Indeed, Vince. Thank you. All the financial markets.
That the trauma of this, from a psychological perspective, is going to be hitting New Yorkers more and more today. We particularly encourage parents to talk with their children. I went home for a few hours last night, and I have to tell you, at 2 o'clock in the morning, my teenage children and younger needed to talk. And it's very important that we encourage all parents.
There were 10 deaths from that disaster, and here we had the first victim. That time we had 1 death the entire time. And you know, you folks will know better than I the hundreds and perhaps thousands of people that may die from this.
So that is the word from St. Vincent's Hospital to this point, and we are looking again at these live pictures from ground zero, basically, and I wonder if we can possibly find some of these workers, whether they're firefighters or otherwise. Maybe we could pan down there just to give people some idea of the scale of this tremendous debris that's been left behind. There you go. And just the massive undertaking that this will be. Right, massive in the sense that St. Vincent's is saying that they received more than 400 patients at not only their hospital but their associated hospitals. 5 people out of that has passed away. 5 people have passed away, but what they clearly are doing is bracing for many, many more people. They have more than 2,500 beds available. They're not full yet. And they're saying that this is an internal family crisis for them, that many of their nurses and paramedics are married to firefighters. Some 300 firefighters are still unaccounted for. So while they're trying to treat hundreds of people who have been victimized by this terrorist attack, they also are worrying about their own and waiting to hear word about their husbands and wives who...
City, you're looking at pictures of some of the rubble, what is left of the 107 Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. New Yorkers just beginning to grasp the enormous devastation wrought in their city. Some 1,450 victims are now admitted to area hospitals. The mayor says that a horrendous number of lives have been lost here. Some city officials saying those numbers will go into the thousands. About the only encouraging news this morning are reports that some of the victims trapped in the rubble have established cell phone contact with their family members. And late last night, 2 New York City police were rescued from a surrounding area around this perimeter area this morning. We are also going to show you a picture of Washington right now, where we are told
to pour water on the smoldering building. Building 7 was the last of the buildings to collapse. Tower number 1 essentially collapsed on it. This is, granted, an oversimplification, but the weight of that crushed the building.
And a third building at the site, a 47-story tower, falls to earth.